Welcome, DeFi Degens, to DeFi Crypto and Airdrops. I am Mike, aka Veteran Crypto. I am still on the road, so don't have my full setup, but I definitely wanted to jump on and talk about what's going on in the markets. Of course, over at Discover Crypto and Blockchain Basement, they are a lot better at finding the alpha when it comes to like the macro environment. They're a lot more knowledgeable. They've been in these markets a lot longer than me, but I like to specialize in DeFi, and so I'm going to bring you the alpha on some DeFi, that's going on right now, some really good DeFi plays, and how I'm adjusting my portfolio because of what's happening in the markets. You have to be unemotional, and that's kind of the point of this stream that I'm doing. Is you need to stay unemotional and really be analytical about adjusting your portfolio. If it has to do with what projects you're in, if it has to do with the pools that you're in, all these different things, you need to be willing to lift and shift your fire. Those of you in the military know what I'm talking about. As the battlefield evolves, you have to be simper gumpy. You have to always be flexible. So, and I know Deadwood understands that. He was in the Corps. So, anyway, let's jump into it a little bit. So, as you can see on my screen, let's pull this up real quick. This is the socials. Those of you that aren't, go ahead and jump over here to DeFi Crypto and Airdrops on YouTube and join the conversation in the chat. I always love questions and the conversations that go on in the chats. It really, really helps me to bring you the alpha that you want. So make sure that you jump over there, get involved in the chat. It makes it a lot more interesting for everyone. All of our brother channels, Discover Crypto, every morning, Monday through Friday, and sometimes they'll drop random videos, pre-recorded videos on the weekends. But the markets are heating up. You want to stay knowledgeable. So DZ, Josh, and TJ over at Discover Crypto, definitely a must watch. Blockchain Report, anything and everything to do with airdrops. My buddy Jeff, that's on with me on Monday nights and Saturday nights, brings you all the airdrop alpha, basically ways to earn free crypto for just like helping test out or beta test different platforms and things like that. I mean, you cannot beat free crypto, and that's what we specialize in here in DeFi Crypto and Airdrops. Is airdrops and DeFi is a great way to just earn free crypto and stack your bags. It's dry powder all the time, 24/7, 365. Blockchain Basement, they're live right now, just finishing up. Drew and Isaac over there, they are always bringing the based alpha, when it comes to crypto markets, government regulation, things like that. BitLab Academy, you got Kelly always, bringing the alpha on the technical analysis and trading. And of course, you have our Discord. And come on over to the Discord. There's a free section and a paid section. The free section is where we kind of wet your whistle with all these people I just talked about. They're doing live trading, every morning, anytime the markets are hot. Josh and Drew are in there with Kelly, showing their entry and exit points, giving you, the exact roadmap on how you can make money. I'm in there, of course. Anytime you have questions about DeFi, DeFi is slow and steady, so I don't have to jump on when the markets heat up. It's always hot in DeFi, and there's just a lot of really good alpha in here. So anyway, let's jump right into it. Let's check out the chat first. Simplify to you, Deadwood. Simplify, brother. All right, so we got the usual crew in here. We got Food is Life. If you're not following him, make sure that you give him a follow. He's starting to get his cooking show going. Jay, always love your support, brother. Deadwood, same. Creston, good to see you again. Who else we got in here? Oh man, my boy Jeff's in here. Blockchain Report. He's probably at work. He's shamming. Supposed to be working. Yeah, Plume and KTA is printing right now. Friggin', we'll get into that. All right, let's just jump into it. So right now, I'm going to go over some bookmarks that I got, just some Plume Alpha. As I promised, I like to stay up to date on Plume just because I see the most going on with it. It's not just because it's one of my largest holdings. I'm not shilling it. I am actually practicing what I preach. As I find more and more bullish things on Plume, I actually stack my bags more and more. I've been moving some of my ETH this morning, actually, because I had to choose if I wanted to rebalance my ETH position or if I wanted to move that liquidity into other things. And I see faster horses. ETH is going to pump. I just don't see it. I don't see it pumping as much as some of the other projects that we talk about here on the channel. So my mindset was I could not find a really good yield bearing pool with my ETH. Are they earning? Yes. Are they earning as much as my Kita, my Plume, and other horses? No. So again, evolving battlefield. You have to really you have to stay very fluid. You don't want to chase, but at the same time you need to recognize where the liquidity is moving. Who is, where are the swaps happening? Where is the volume? Not just APRs. Where is the volume? Where are the fees being generated? We're being paid off of fees. We're not getting paid off of APR. I know that's kind of a hard one to wrap your head around. Those of you that have been doing DeFi for a minute, you know better than to chase APRs. They fluctuate rapidly. You can be making a couple of 100% 1 second. Next second, it's single digits. So anyway, Plume. Stablecoins were the first RWA liquid global unstoppable. Now Skylink with Tron. Those of you that aren't familiar, Tron's an OG. Gives them what they are missing, real world yield. Introducing Skylink on Tron DAO, a cross-chain path for Tron stablecoins into treasuries, private credit, and RWA-backed DeFi natively. They just launched on Plume mainnet. If you do not see what is going on here with Plume and with the people that are, and I'll get into it here in a second, that are deeply ingrained with US regulation and ensuring that they're building out forward-leaning, looking forward to align with regulation so they are compliant. These are the projects you need to pay attention to. I cannot stress that enough. The ones that can't keep up with regulation, laws, things like that regulate the largest freaking financial environment on the planet, the US, they are going to go under. They are going to be the ones when people talk about that the majority of crypto projects are going to disappear. Those are the ones that are going to disappear. So watch what I'm throwing here, or catch what I'm throwing here. So again, stable coins into treasuries. This is RWAs, treasuries, private credit, all of this. And you'll see what I'm talking about here in a minute. Now, Plume. Let's see. Let's actually go to this one. All right. So part 2. Why does this matter? Tron dominates stablecoin usage in emerging markets. Now those same stablecoins can tap into institutional grade yields natively, on-chain, and transparent via Plume Skylink protocol. Let's actually, you know what? This isn't too long. Let's actually
more. Skylink enables real-world assets to flow. 2024 was a breakout year for real-world assets, RWAs. But 2025 is where growth accelerates. At Plume, we're building the largest RWA ecosystem, empowering crypto users with unparalleled yield. Skylink is the gateway, seamlessly delivering these yields across leading chains like Solana, Movement, Injective, and many more. Skylink enables real-world assets to flow effortlessly, breaking barriers and uniting ecosystems for unprecedented DeFi collaboration. Skylink is at the core, driving innovation, interoperability, and growth. Skylink is here, unlocking the potential of RWA Fi for all.
I want to stress something. Plume is not competing with many of these projects. They are the utility that these projects are using. I can't stress that enough. They're not competing with Solana. They're not a Solana killer. They're not an Ethereum killer. They're not out to kill anybody. They are adding functionality to these chains. They are allowing liquidity to move freely across all of these chains. So, bridging and things like that potentially could be a thing of the past, because natively on Plume, you'll be able to put liquidity from those other chains to work. So, and those of you that have been jumping on the Plume portal and that are working towards the next airdrop, you know what I'm talking about. Before I get too far, let me see if there's any questions in the chat. Morning, Ellie. Let's see. 20% on ETH and Ondo was the best I could find on Uniswap. Yeah, Deadwood. It's the APR and the fees just aren't there right now on ETH. So, like I said, that's why I'm kind of moving some stuff around. That's why I moved my ADA bag to Plume. Absolutely, food is life. What else we got here? I had 10K ADA back in 2022, went crazy on NFTs. Oh no, Jeff, say it's not so. All right, so let's jump back over to here. Back to the bookmarks. Let's see. Right here. I've covered this the other day. Off the heels of our meetings with the Treasury Department and the SEC, Plume's leadership has been meeting with regulators for months and months and months and months and months before the mainnet even went live. The whole time they've been building out, they've been meeting with regulators. That's what I'm trying to stress, is they understood how this works. They have people on staff that understand to be a part of the TradFi DeFi merge that's happening right now, that they would need to be compliant. So they've been building out to ensure that as the environment evolves, as legislation is drafted and signed into law, that their chain and that their offerings are upgradable. You cannot have a technology that moves this fast, and finance that moves this fast. It has to be highly upgradable, and that's what they've been doing. And of course you see Trump here, with them doing thumbs up. Love him or hate him, he's the president. He's pro crypto. He's going to push crypto policies. And World Liberty Fi, their stable coin, it went live on Plume a couple days ago. So, follow the money. I'll just say that. Financial advisor, no more than 5% of your net worth should go into crypto. This is me. every dime I can scrap together is I've gotten together, and I have it in DeFi and in crypto. I see way too much upside to miss this opportunity. If it crashes and burns, which I do not see happening, so be it. There's far too much, pros than cons. So anyway, whys. I haven't talked about Casper in a while, and I'm not saying go and jump into this. I have been diamond handing my Casper bags for quite some time. I have been waiting for this DeFi opportunity, and to be honest, I'll believe it when I see it. I've been listening to Wise and Casper talk about, and like I said, I'll always be real with y'all. I have a very large bag of Casper. It's one of my largest holdings, and I've been earning 16% on it, having it staked for years now. But I'm going to be real with you. Integrity is paramount with me. I have been waiting for this. They've been saying it's coming anytime now for months and months and months. Stop saying that it's coming until it's ready to go live. That's all I can say. You lose credibility when, if Wise, if you're out there, Casper, if you're out there, Casper, Casper Association, please stop saying it's about to go live until it's about to go live. I'll leave it at that. But that being said, there is huge opportunity with this as far as DeFi. And when it goes live, I'm going to wait to go into details until it goes live, because I want to really make sure that the information I'm giving you is accurate. I don't want you to go out and buy Casper thinking that something's going to happen and then they lift and shift. So what do we got here? As Plume Network advances in RWA-Fi network, more and more protocols go live on its mainnet. It's over 200 plus now. I mean, they're just constantly onboarding new people. That's what you want to see in a project, is growth, adoption and growth. TVL going up, volumes going up, new dApps going live, all those types of things. The latest partnership with Tron also unlocked a big stream of stablecoin liquidity. Our RWAX, a perp DEX, might be one of the main destinations of this liquidity. I have not looked into this. I definitely will, and I'll report back to you. Discover crypto. Yes, this was me last night. We're entering no sleep season. One of my alarms went off. One of my ETH pool went out of range, and that's what I'm about to get into. So I actually opted to not rebalance it. I opted to pull that liquidity out into ETH, and I'm redeploying that into other pools that I see that will be faster movers and better earners. Again, you need to be fluid. You need to be fast on your feet. And then the Druth. Of course, my boy Drew over Blockchain Basement, he has been in Link forever. He says, is it time, Link? He has been waiting for Link to pump for I don't know how long. But, it's looking like the markets are starting to heat up. Let's actually check on the markets real quick and see how they are doing. All right, we're ticking up. So let's go through this real quick. Let's see who is our biggest. I wish I could filter out meme coins. Story. This is one that Jeff, my boy over at the Blockchain Report, he farmed this forever ago, and it's up 51%. In the past week, 34% on the day, and almost 7% on the hour. Stellar XLM, love it or hate it. The little brother to XRP. It's up 23% on the day. Say, good project, 20%. Pudgy Penguins, if you're into meme coins, they've actually, done some stuff other than just a meme coin. They have their physical, products and things like that. Athena, a good project, been sleeping for a little while. Injective, same thing. Radium, Solana's DEX, a lot of meme pools, liquidity pools over there. Sonic, one of the ones that I hold. Right before Trump crashed the markets, sucking liquidity out with his meme coin, Sonic DeFi was starting to pump. Cardano, DZ's, wet dream, that's starting to move. Optimism. Anybody in DeFi knows about Optimism. They have, they're deeply ingrained in DeFi. IOTA, haven't seen that move in a while. Algorand, same there. And then, XRP, it just had a pullback, a little bit of a cool off recently. So, all right, enough of that. Let's jump over to DeFi Llama. So DeFi Llama, I always like to check in with DeFi Llama and look at the TVL and the DEX volume. That gives me an idea of what's going on in DeFi. So if you're new to DeFi, thinking about getting into DeFi, or been in DeFi, you understand the importance of TVL and volumes, as it pertains to profitability. Because if you're not earning enough fees in your pools, potentially you fall victim to what's called impermanent loss. Impermanent loss, very simply, is your liquidity pool that you're in, the price appreciation plus the fees that you earn, your yield, those, together, you add those two together. If it's not outpacing what you could have earned just simply holding those assets, that is impermanent loss. Plain and simple. It's not this scary specter you need to worry about. If you have HODL bags and then you take a small part of your portfolio and you DeFi it so that when markets are going sideways, when markets are going down, and even when markets are going up, you're earning free crypto in the projects that you believe in. So you're always stacking with free crypto, which is better than dry powder. It's better than taking your fiat and buying more crypto when you can just 24/7, 365 be earning free crypto. So if you're on Uniswap and you're in a Bitcoin Ethereum pool, you are always earning, as long as you're in range, or if you're in a full range pool, you're always earning free ETH and free Bitcoin. It's as simple as that. You can't get a better DCA than free crypto. So yes. Right now, it looks like we're starting to get some pumpage going on DEX volumes. I think people are a little bit apprehensive, but there is an uptick in TVL. So that means, total value locked. That means liquidity is moving on to DEXs. And with that liquidity, you get more people swapping, and things like that, paying small fees to do so. And that's how we earn our fees in DeFi. Let's jump over to rwa.xyz. And as always, we are pumping RWAs, real world asset tokenization, treasuries, bonds, private credit, commodities, which is gold, silver, oil, all of these, institutional funds, all of these things that Plume is building out on their Plume portal, on all these, that all these different organizations like BlackRock, and I'll show you here in a second, Investco, these massive, institutions that have trillions, billions and trillions in assets under management. That liquidity is coming on chain. I cannot stress this enough. The traditional way of doing things with brokers and computers and waiting 5 to 10 business days to enter and exit the market, and all of these things, having to show that you're an accredited investor. All of those things are going to be automated. All of this is going to be on chain. TradFi and DeFi are coming together and making a retarded fish frog baby. And that retarded fish frog baby is, if you're getting in now, is going to make you rich. I cannot stress that enough. Those of us that are in DeFi right now are printing money. We were just talking about it in the chat. KTA, Plume. KTA is another WA and DeFi play. Me and Jeff just got done doing a deep dive on a couple like Mamo. Drew over at Blockchain Basement was just talking about it. It is a DeFi AI play. So you can invest in two narratives. It basically it optimizes your pools, the pools that they offer. You get into them, and it will automatically be your broker. And it's constantly analyzing massive amounts of data points to ensure that it's rebalancing, and it's reallocating and compounding, optimizing your investments to make sure that you earn the most possible. This is huge. I mean, there's so many things that you can take advantage of right now and be a first mover. Anyway, let's jump over to the Plume portal. So there's one thing that I want to show you, and this is why you need to learn about DeFi. And I'll touch on this really quick. If you haven't yet, please come over. Everything we do here is free. I make no money off making any of this content, off our DeFi Academy, off our Discord. Everything I do and everything that Jeff does, my co-host, is 100% free. We don't have sponsors. We don't ask for you to buy memberships. We don't ask for super chats. We just want you to learn and change you and your family's financial future. That's what fuels our fire. I love seeing in the chats and on the Discord, Jay and Ellie and just all these people out there, Wispy, that are out there and they are earning, thousands of dollars or more in DeFi. It's just it really gets me pumped, But the DeFi Academy, if you're wanting to get into DeFi, start with episode 1. And at the end of it, I have it set to where you can go straight to episode 2, so on and so forth, all the way up to episode 11. I highly suggest you focus on, of course, what is DeFi. And the other one is episode 8, building your DeFi portfolio. I show you how I personally have built my DeFi portfolio to be bulletproof. And what that is a very, very low risk, steady earning, portfolio, to where you're using staking, lending, where you get full price appreciation and you're earning yield. You might only be earning like 5%, 10%, but you have custody of your assets, like in some cases, Bitcoin, to where you get full price appreciation if things pump, but you're always earning yield no matter what the markets do. They go down, they go sideways, they go up, you're always earning. Staking, like I said, Casper, I've been earning 16%. You can earn some really good yield off simply staking, and you're getting full price appreciation. You're not going to miss out if crypto goes on an epic run, if alt season hits and it just pumps to the moon. You're not going to miss out on that. Do not just hodl your bags. There's so many very, very safe, DeFi opportunities that you get the best of both worlds. Then a little more risk and you don't get full price appreciation, but most is full range liquidity pools. You'll get most of the price appreciation, not all. And with a full range pool, no matter what the price does, you always earn yield. So if you have a busy life, you're out there hustling, and you're going to work and have a business and you have family obligations and working out and all of these things, and you don't have time to watch the markets, that is your foundation. Full range pools, lending, and staking. With that is a machine. That is a yield earning machine that all you do is sit back and 24/7, 365 watch free money build up, dry powder in all of the bags that you're wanting to stack anyway. Bitcoin, ETH, Plume, whatever pools you're in, you're earning that. On Aerodrome, anything you're in on Aerodrome, you're earning free Aero. So you're just stacking bags. As that yield builds up, it's like a dry powder bank account. And you take that dry powder and you can cash it out and swap it into whatever you want and open new pools and maybe go higher risk. Maybe dip in to doing ranged liquidity pools where you can earn 100% APR or more and boost your earnings. Your average might be 20, 30, 40% with your the foundation that I was talking about. But then you can take a couple of hundred or a couple $1,000 or tens of thousands, hundred thousands, some of you out there. My brother Taylor's doing it and killing it. But you can take that and lever up. And with that, let me segue into something real quick. I want to show you something on the Plume portal. So this is a flywheel that I'm thinking about doing. So on Nest is a platform that is built out on the Plume mainnet, and it's traditional investments that have been tokenized. So like this one, Nest Basis Vault, it trades Basis trades combined with tokenized treasuries for consistent non-directional yield. So basically what this is it uses exactly what it says, tokenized treasuries to help you earn 8% APY. With that, what you can do is you can come, and this is where you get into it, is, over here on Nest, what you do is you put in Plume's stablecoin, PUSD. And whenever you put that stablecoin in, actually, you know what? Give me 1 second. I want to touch on something because it's going to add value to Plume's stablecoin. So Plume stablecoin, this is another thing that they did that was just fucking genius. Plume stablecoin is backed 1-to-1 with USDC, Circle's stablecoin. If you don't know, Circle is a US company that it has been working again with regulators since the beginning. They work closely with Coinbase and things like that. Now, they are ensuring that, as and we just did a deep dive on this yesterday, me, Taylor, and Jeff. We talked about the Genius Act, which gets into stablecoin regulation. And next week, there's going to be a bunch of more stablecoin regulation that's going to be talked about. But I digress. So they've been working to ensure that they stay compliant, their stablecoin. So because PUSD is backed, or its value is pegged or backed by USDC, it will automatically be compliant, because if USDC is compliant, Plume USD will be compliant as well. Just such a beautiful, beautiful thing that they did there. So with that being said, PUSD, you deposit your stablecoin into this Nest basis vault. And right now it's earning 5.5%. You can see there's $21 million of TVL. You're still very early on this. Now, what you can do with that is you can come over here and you can see right here, in basis, the loan asset, PUSD, loan to value, you can borrow, I'm not saying do this, you can borrow up to 91.5% loan to value. So if you have, say, $10,000 in there, you can borrow $9,150 if you want it. But that would be, max leverage. You potentially could get liquidated if the price drops. So don't do that. But you can hold this and be earning the 5.5%, the in basis that you did over on Nest, and you can borrow against it. And the borrow APY right now is 0.5%. So basically, if you're earning 5.5% on your in basis, and it only costs 0.5% to borrow, you're earning 5%. Plus, if you max leveraged, not to say that you'd want to do that, you can take that $9,150 that's now liquid, and you can take that and go invest it. And you can invest it in whatever. You can invest that in Bitcoin. You can invest that in a liquidity pool. You can invest that in real estate. Anything that's going to earn you yield, and then you use that yield to pay off the loan. It's the lend, borrow flywheel. We go over it quite often, but there is so many opportunities like this in DeFi, and you just need to follow channels like this and get in our Discord. If you're not in our Discord, get in there. I'm not the only one sharing these opportunities. There's people that are getting to where they're finding stuff that I'm like, oh shit. And I'm going and checking out stuff that they're finding and sharing in the Discord. So I can't stress enough, find a good community that genuinely just wants you to be successful, and they're not trying to get you to buy, some program, for, $5, $10, $20,000, to teach you DeFi. It's not that complicated. Once you learn the basics and you start, getting profitable and whatnot, if you want to go and you want to find, one of those, programs or something like that that's reasonable, or if you're making enough money and you see that there's value in it, by all means, go ahead. I'm not going to tell you what to do with your money, but there is no need right off the bat to just go and pay $10,000 to get in somebody's program, to get one-on-one calls and things like that. Don't don't stack other people's bags. Use that money. DeFi is way too easy. Like I said, lending, staking, and full range pools, it's a no-brainer. It really is. All right, let's go over to the chat. Let's see what we got going on over there. Any opinion? Welcome, Mark. You're 80. Any opinion on Digibyte? Never heard of it. I might need to take a look at it. Let's see. Yes, USD1 Deadwood. That's what I was talking about. World Liberty Fi's stablecoin is now live on Plume mainnet. Absolutely. Yeah, no, Plume gets me more excited than Ondo lately. Absolutely. I mean, anybody that listens to me for more than 5 minutes knows I'm bullish on Plume. Yeah, 99% in alts. Food is life. That's me. Ondo will be the institutional side of RWAs, and I'll put that up. Plume is connecting networks to earn yield off all assets. That's what I'm talking about. Is Plume is not a competitor to really anybody that I've seen. Anybody that's doing what they're doing. Ondo is tokenizing assets. Plume is the rails and the mechanism and the functionality that is being added to a lot of these projects. So again, not competitors. It's not a one or the other. It's a Plume and Ondo for me. Hey, what up, Kyle Watts, Granny's Garden, Nick Dunn? Looks like the basement crew is air raiding. I appreciate you, Isaac and Drew for redirecting everybody. Yep, that's what I appreciate about Plume's marketing. Once they do it, they post on it. No speculation, just results. Yeah, I I cannot applaud the Plume team enough. They don't talk about shit forever, and promise things. It's just whenever it's actually happening, like they post when things actually go live. And if you look at the portal, if you look at their blog, if you follow them on X, I mean it's like 5, 6, 7 announcements a day. It used to be one or two. I mean they're just picking up speed. I don't think Plume needs to be on base Deadwood. With the interoperability, it's liquidity is going to flow, seamlessly. I don't see, and obviously with, because what is it, Wormhole that's doing the interoperability for Plume, and then of course bridging. I mean, as cheap as base is, and as cheap as Plume is, I mean it's negligible. The fees are not even worth talking about. Rico, aloha, brother. Yeah, I need to get it back over to Hawaii and work on my property. Yeah, Plume on base would be a dream though. OP and Velodrome, absolutely. Velodrome is flying under the radar right now, but what people don't understand is Velodrome is a huge part of what's going on. The same team that built Velodrome built Aerodrome, and a lot of the offerings across the base network are cross platform. Like a lot of the stuff that's on Coinbase, Morpho, the Bitcoin backed loans are that are offered on Coinbase are actually housed on Morpho, and Morpho's live on Plume. I can show you that right now. Let's see, explore right here, Morpho. live on Plume mainnet. It's you can go over here and you can actually earn Plume points and stuff right now by using Morpho, from the Plume portal. So right now, I mean, I'm building up points, trying to get the next airdrop of Plume. Let's see, where were we at? Go back to the chat. All right. Celestia is down. That it will take 2 cycles to get it back where it was. Celestia, I know a lot of people were bullish on it. I opted out. I didn't like the tokenomics. I forget exactly what it was. I think it was either the airdrops or the team had too much of the supply. Yes, please like and share the stream. Again, I don't get paid for any of this, and so I don't pay to get boosted on anything. We're 100% guerrilla marketing. So please help us by smashing the like, engaging in the chat, sharing on socials. I greatly appreciate it. Is Mamal on Moonwell? You talking about Mamo? I'll be looking at some pools here in a minute. I actually want to. I have some ETH, and maybe you all can help me. I have about $3,000 worth of ETH that I want to put into some other DeFi plays. So I'm going to be going through some opportunities here in a minute. Absolutely, fade and tradfi. Sorry, get a little tongue tied. First movers do get paid. Ellie, as always, appreciate you, girl. Multiverse Destroyer, absolutely. Knowledge should be free. I mean, I'm making enough money in DeFi. I don't need to charge you all. That's the way I look at it. I want all of us to be successful. How will banks and credit cards compete with those numbers? Stan, absolutely. And that's why you need to get into DeFi now, because there is nothing that guarantees that these earning opportunities are going to be here forever. Earning hundreds of percent or thousands of percent like I'm earning on Plume right now, might not be a thing in the future. It might be, but it might not. So earn your nut now, because when the time comes, do you want to have a couple of $1,000, or do you want to have a couple of $100,000 that you're earning 10% on? If this becomes like traditional finance, where once everybody gets into it and everything stabilizes, if we're looking at, I mean, Nest that we were just looking at, most of their APRs or APYs over there are single digit. Because it's more in line with, because it is tokenized traditional finance vehicles. Yeah. Now the Discord, if one of you guys can throw the Discord link in the chat, I'd greatly appreciate it, because I cannot stress enough getting involved in a good community. Appreciate you again, Food for Life. Jay, have I checked out Pendle's platform? Jay, yes, I have. And I've been meaning to do a deep dive on it, because it's so unique. The YT and PT, I'm not going to get into it now. It's very complex, and there is other influencers out there. They definitely have some good free info. Crypto Labs Research, Jake Call, both of them, have some really good videos and are a lot more knowledgeable about Pendle. And they've been in DeFi a lot longer than me. Like I said, I'm all about the truth. They've been in DeFi a lot longer than me. They're a lot more knowledgeable. As you get, to a higher and higher level, when it comes to your DeFi, it might behoove you to, go over and be learning from them as well. I found it really hard for me personally when I was first getting involved in DeFi, because they're operating at such a high level. They have such large, they're dealing with millions of dollars of liquidity. and the strategies that they're using, and we're going to get into those, as we move forward, are so complex that it's easy to get messed up, and it's easy to lose your money. So that's why we started this channel, is to make sure that all of you out there have an easier on ramp to DeFi. If you want to keep learning with us, awesome. If you want to branch out and learn from other people too, even better. Because the more information you can take in, the better DeFi investor you're going to be. Alexandra G, as always, thank you, girl. I appreciate all that you do. Let's see. Stan, I know I throw a lot of shade about XRP, and it's not that XRP is a bad project. I just try to bring people back down to earth because there's so much hype with XRP. And again, I held 40,000 XRP. I stacked XRP. It was my largest holding all through the bear market. But the fundamentals changed. Will you make money on XRP? Absolutely. But will you make as much as you would if you would have gotten into some of these other projects that we're talking about over on Blockchain Basement, over on Discover Crypto, and other channels out there in the cryptoverse? Stuff like Plume, stuff like Ondo, RWA and DeFi plays, Aave. I think not. It's would you rather have your liquidity in a 2 or 3x? Or if you're going to go for the 2 or 3x, why not just get into Bitcoin? That's why I throw shade at XRP. Is it's not going to hit $10,000. You're not going to have $1,000 of XRP and be set for life. It's just, in my opinion. Could I be wrong? Absolutely. But I'm just going to touch on this for a second because I don't want it to gobble up all the time. I was hodling XRP when XRP was the only thing that could move value on the XRP ledger. However, as soon as they came out with RLUSD, and as soon as they added USDC to the XRP ledger, I sold, during that first big pump. And I got into Arrow, and I got into Ondo, and I got into DeFi. Reason being is Ripple is smart. They talked to banks and institutions. And those banks and institutions said, I'm not going to move $1 billion across the XRP ledger with XRP because it's a volatile asset. If it moves even 0.5%, then you're going to lose $5 million. A billion, 0.5% of $1 billion is $500 million. That's a hell of a fucking fee to move some money. You see where I'm going with this? They are going to use a stablecoin like RLUSD or USDC. They're not going to use XRP. XRP can be used, but why would they? I can't stress that enough. So there's no need for a high value XRP. XRP is a gas token now. The only thing pumping the value of XRP is the hype on social media, and people trying to pump it up so that they can exit and use you for liquidity, in my opinion. Moving on. XLM is basically XRP, but XRP is going for institutions. XLM is more geared towards retail. Yeah, DeFi Sensei, absolutely. There's a lot of really good DeFi channels out there. I wasn't able to find any that were entry level. Alexandra G, appreciate that. Post in the Discord. Yes, food is life. I am more bullish on Ripple than XRP. Unfortunately, I got into the link to and bought the Ripple pre-IPO, put a couple $1,000s into it. They filed for Chapter 11. I'm hoping that if Ripple does an IPO that I get that. Supposedly they're still in business. They did a Chapter 11 and I think it's a Chapter 9. So they're restructuring basically. So we'll see. We'll see. But very bullish on Ripple. Don't get me wrong. Ripple, I think, is going to do great things. XRP, you're going to make money. Again, are you going to make more than if you got into other projects? I think not. So, personal opinion. All right. We're caught up with the chat. Let's move over to. So, in the Discord, we offer these sheets for free. I got this actually for free from Crypto Labs Research, and I've done a bunch of modifying to it. Again, I interviewed Lucas over at Crypto Labs Research. Great guy, used to work on the oil rigs and got into crypto, got into DeFi, and now the guy is balling. He has a garage full of his dream cars. He's doing DeFi with millions of dollars. Really good guy. Great team over there. Super, super knowledgeable. Highly suggest you check them out. But that being said, I've gone through here and I've tuned this thing up. So you can see here, my bull run portfolio as it sits right now is about 55,555. My DeFi portfolio is just shy of 40,000. I started this back in October with 15,000. As we pump, if we get back to where we were at before, I've done the math, I'll have over $100,000 in DeFi. And I started with 15 grand. And that's because, like I stressed at the beginning of this stream, I stayed unemotional when the markets were dumping. And you can see, I started with 15 grand. I neglected to put down my end of November, but end of December, I had 29 grand, almost 30 grand. In January, we were dumping. I went down to 26, even though I was earning yield. My portfolio was going down in value. If I was just looking at prices, I might have panicked and sold and locked in losses and gotten out of DeFi, but I didn't. I stayed the course. And in February, fucking dumped 18 grand, 18.5. March, 14.7. April, 14.7. It stabilized. And I was watching my crypto holdings. I wasn't looking at dollar amounts. I shifted my thinking. And I started looking at the token count, not the dollar amount. And I locked in. And in May, 25.3. In June, 36.5. And now here in July, I'm at 38. Who knows? By the end of July, I might be, in the 60s or 70s. Time will tell. But that is what I want to stress is your mindset. When you get into DeFi, you have to rewire yourself. Hodling, you're always looking at prices. Always. You wire yourself to look at prices. You need to get out of that mindset. With trading, you're looking, everything's moving so fast. You're expecting fast results. You're expecting candles where you get, 50%, 80%, 300%, 400%, you're in, you're out. It's that quick moving mindset. You got to get out of that mindset with DeFi. DeFi is a slow burn. It's a marathon. It's not a race. You're not going to get rich quick overnight, relatively speaking, to the rest of crypto. But as you can see, if you stick to the fundamentals, if you invest in solid projects and put that crypto into good earning pools, you will do well over time. But you have to get your head right. All right, so let's start looking for some pools together. Start throwing up in the chat if you've found some good pools that you think I should get into, and I'll do it live. I'll put some money where your mouth is. So that didn't sound good. I might want to rephrase that. Anyway, so like I was talking about in the chat on Blockchain Basement, I looked this up while Drew was talking about it. So you got a Mamo Coinbase wrapped Bitcoin pool making 318% right now. Good TVL, good weekly rewards. Thinking about putting a little bit of liquidity in this one. I'm going to put this one on pause for a second. Let's move on. While you guys get some pools in the chat for me. I'm feeling hungry. I want to earn some yields. Let's do this. So here is my ambient pool. This one here is a Plume PUSD, their stablecoin pool that me and a couple of people in our Discord, in our community, have been wetting our whistle on. I'm making 247% on it right now. So I started this one with, let me go back to my tracking sheet. Again, you can find this tracking sheet in our Discord for free. Go to my DeFi tracker. What did I get into that? So I started that one out with $600 back on the 19th of June. So looking like about 3 weeks ago. So I've taken that in 3 weeks. I've added a little bit of liquidity this morning from my ETH. So I've doubled. I've doubled my money in the past 3 weeks on this ambient pool with Plume. So, because I added about $600-700 uh, on this morning, but I have 1743 in there. So I've thought about adding some to that potentially. What else we got going on here? What do we got on Uniswap? So I got my Plume pools on ETH mainnet over here, and I'm seriously thinking about getting off ETH mainnet because this last pump, if you don't know, ETH mainnet, when it gets busy, it used to be hundreds of dollars to do a transaction. Recently, during this last pump, at one point I saw $20, and that's just to like if I wanted to collect these fees or I wanted to take my liquidity out or wanted to do a swap, it would have been a $20 fee. And if you're dealing with small amounts of money, you're eating up your profits. So I suggest stay if you're just getting started and you're using small amounts of money, stay away from ETH mainnet. Use Base. A lot of the same assets that you're going to find on ETH mainnet, you're going to find on Base, over on Aerodrome, on Uniswap. There's no need to be on ETH mainnet. The only reason I was on it and a lot of people in the community were on it was the only place at the time that Plume, that you could find Plume, and that was earning. So a bunch of us got into it. However, I think a lot of that liquidity and that volume is starting to move over to the Plume mainnet, which is just as cheap as Base. So that's kind of where my head's at. Once the gas fees go down on ETH mainnet, I'm seriously thinking about pulling this and moving it over to Ambient. But you do you. All right, let's see what chat has for me. What do we got? Random Pavo, my boy he's always chatting me up in the Discord. We're always talking about pools, and he finds some good stuff. If look him up in the Discord. He's dropping a lot of alpha in there. Like I said, our Discord that we're building out and our masterclass that we do once a week in the DIG, the Discover Investment Group. It's a roundtable. So it's not just me teaching. I'm a student in there as well, and you're all teachers. So if you want to get in there on Tuesdays with us and be a part of the conversation, and come in there and teach, come in there and learn. It is 100% a roundtable. It's all about everyone learning and growing together. Granny's Garden, love you, girl. Yeah, with DeFi, it's the compound effects that makes the difference. Absolutely. Absolutely. I appreciate all of you out there on X and on Rumble. We got a couple hundred people watching live right now. By all means, please, come over to the main channel and get in the chat. Would love to, introduce you all to the community and ask your questions. I'm on the lookout for Say pools. The stablecoin stuff with Wyoming looks good to me. Interesting. I'll add that to the list. Nice. Looking forward to my DeFi journey. Started in April. NZ. Well, welcome, and like I said, join the Discord. Go through, if you haven't already, go through the DeFi Academy. A lot to learn. All right, so let me see what else we can find. Let's go over to Uniswap. All right, so we'll go to Explore. Let's look at pools. Let's look at volumes. 425 million on a stablecoin pool, earning 8%. I know places on stables that I can earn 15. ETH USDC, 1 day volume of 227 million. Again, I glance at APR, but I'm more interested in the volume. The volume and the TVL. So a good way to understand how much you earn when you're in a liquidity pool is your share of the pool. So for good round numbers, if there's $1 million of TVL and you deposit $100,000, then you have a 10% share of the pool. So you get a 10% share of the fees that are generated. It's really that simple. No need to complicate it. So yeah, those are the big things I'm looking at is TVL, volume, and how much liquidity that I'm going to put in. And then I glance at APR. Let's focus on base. It's all about that base. It's all about that base, about that base. Let's see, 6.5 million. Looks like, ooh, what's that? REI. 1 day volume. Got good APR. Got TVL's kind of low. Let's go look up and see what REI is. So we'll give you a little bit of some insight into how I do my research for pools real quick. REI network. So let's scroll down. Bithumb suspension, REI token deposits and withdrawals halted. That's not good. REI network and Infinity Card partnership 1 month ago. So a lot of old news. REI network was developed to better adapt to the development trend of the blockchain and to achieve a lightweight Ethereum compatible, higher performance, and no fee blockchain framework. This is not filling me with confidence. Super low volume, but it is up. Not a great chart. Don't like that there is no max supply. Hard pass. All right, moving on. Come on, people. Get Jupiter. What about Jupiter? All right, yeah, let's head over to Jupiter. Let's see. Doop, doop, doo. Haven't been here in a while. Let's see. All right. All right. Let's see what we got. See what they got. No early access. No thanks. Not seeing anything that's jumping out at me. All right, moving on. Let's go over to, so far, I'm thinking that I might put some into this Mammo. I'm just wondering if Mammo outpumps Bitcoin, I might get divergence loss. That's the only thing I'm worried about. Maybe do a wide range. You know what? And this is what I love about VFAT. So with VFAT, I can just select any single asset. So I can say I want to put some wrapped ETH in here. And let's go ahead. You know what? I'm just going to put 200 bucks. Let's put 200 bucks and see what it does. Let's see if we can grow us a Mammo bag. All right. So that actually, you know what? We're going to go one step further. I want you all to see. Oh shit! Not sharing the right one. I want you all to see what I do when I do my research. So let's go to Deck Screener. All right. So we're going to check out this pool, and we want to find a range. We're going to do a ranged pool so that we can get a higher APR. So on VFAT or on whatever platform, you find the pool address. And so you come down here, and here's the contract address, and you click on it, and that copies it. So now you come over to Deck Screener, verifying, and click up here in the top left, search, paste the address, and you can see Mammo, Coinbase wrapped Bitcoin, and it's on Aerodrome on base chain. It's the right one. Click on it, and it will give you the chart. So this is where the Hillbilly TA comes in. So we want to look at, let's move this over here. So we come back to here, and what we want to look at, let's actually switch this over to price and Mammo. So we're looking at 1.267. So we need this sidebar to match what we were seeing over here. You know, that these numbers, you know, for the range, you need to make this match. So we'll swap to up here, USDC to Bitcoin, still doesn't match. So you come up here to these three dots, invert the pair. There we go. All right. So now you can see that you have like the 1.46 million is where we're at. You come over here, 1.46 million. 1.468751 to be 100% accurate. So the numbers match up. Now we find our range. So you come back over to here, and let's do some Hillbilly TA. Now, this is another way that is different from trading. Is on trading, for the most part, you're mostly looking at the 15-minute, maybe the hour, the shorter time frames. Down here, you're looking at the 5-minute, 15-minute, things like that. With DeFi, you're wanting to stay in range longer, so you're looking for longer time frame ranges. So I like 4 hour. So what we're going to do is we're going to draw a horizontal line, and we're going to look at. So you can see back here that this pool came down and bounced, went up. Let's close this up. It came down, bounced, kind of almost came down, bounced again, and then took off. We're coming back down. So this is a line of support. I'm going to put a line there. Now, we want to find the line of resistance. And as you can see up here, again, it came down, it bounced, came down, came up, wicked, bounced, came up, didn't quite touch, but rejected, came down, did that bouncing down here, up, bounced. Here's a range. This is where it's been ranging since 26 May. So, end of May, all of June, and half of July. If you were in this pool this whole time with these ranges, let's go see what we would have been earning. So 1.09 and 2.85. So let's go 1.09. Close enough. And what was the other one? 2.85. Man, this is a huge range. 100%. That's not bad. And that's 100% freaking range. That is freaking massive. We might put more than a couple $100. Let's actually go and look at this. Let me show you what I'm looking at here. So again, we're looking at about 1 million to 2.8 million. And that's 102% range. That is a massive range. That's a lot of room to move around, for activities. Those of you that watch Step Brothers, a lot of room for activities. Now you can see that's still earning 105%. What are we looking at here? Active TVL, 519K. I'm liking this. You know what? Let's do it. All right, so we are going to do this. We are going to put wrapped ETH. All right, put it in the chat. How much of my 3K am I putting in here? Oh, you think Ellie meant say, not REI? I'm sure she probably did. All right, so how much of my 3K am I putting in this Mammo Bitcoin? Talk to me, Goose. Rumors of a Stripe KTA partnership. Jay, bring in the alpha. Nice. Tag me on X. We'll check that out. Get in the chat. Tell me up to $500. Tell me how much I should put in this Mammo Bitcoin pool. Let's see. Let's go over to X. All right. Wow, does it look like Stripe and KTA are going to announce a partnership soon? Would you look at that? KTA. What are we looking at? Why I believe a KTA Stripe partnership is only a matter of time. I've gone through Stripe's own blogs, updates, public statements, and what I found points to a clear alignment with Kita's infrastructure. Buenos Dias Partnerships Stablecoin, a Stripe Co. Okay, where are they seeing a partnership? I'm not seeing. Oh, here we go. Okay. Quick note before we jump right in. This thread is highly speculative and reflects my own opinions. I have no insider info, just connecting the dots based on public interest in the kind of tech Kita offers. Consider an educated guess, not a confirmation. Little bit of history and context so you know what's going on. Stripe has embarked on a crypto strategy centered on stablecoins, aiming to make digital dollars as reliable as today's payment networks. After ending support for Bitcoin payments in 2018, Stripe re entered the crypto scene in 2024 with a focus on faster, low cost stablecoins as a medium of exchange. Stripe has been steadily moving into stablecoins, with some of the key milestones being October of 24 enabled merchants to accept USDC payments. June of 24 partnered with Coinbase for crypto on-ramps. May of 25 launched stablecoin financial accounts in 100 plus countries. Stablecoin volume hit 33 trillion in 2024, surpassing Visa and MasterCard combined. Huge. Stripe clearly sees where this is heading. CEO Patrick Collison even called stablecoins and AI gale force tailwinds reshaping the global economy. Let's start with Stripe's recent announcement, the launch of stablecoin financial accounts across 101 countries. Stablecoin financial accounts, Stripe Treasury for the unbanked. Stripe's stablecoin based accounts function as global business bank accounts without the bank. Key features include the ability to hold stablecoin balances in USD and soon other currencies, send and receive funds. All right. Commerce has never been more global, but money management is far from modern. Businesses face unstable currencies, high FX fees, and unreliable financial infrastructure, especially in emerging markets. That's what they talk about with the unbanked. A lot of people don't have access to banking. So, smartphones and crypto has given a lot of people in third world countries, all you need is an internet or cell phone connection and a smartphone, and you can move crypto. So, like, people from the Philippines that go work in the UAE and places like that, they'll go, and people from Mexico that come to the US, they work here. It's a cheap, fast, easy way to send money home. Moving on to fiat to crypto on ramps and off ramps. And this is where things really start to ramp up and the possibility of Kita. All right. Stripe provides developer tools for integrating crypto purchases and payout flows. More on dev tools later. Through Stripe's API augmented by the Coinbase partnership, platforms can let users buy crypto with fiat or cash out to bank accounts. One thing I will say about Kita is we live streamed it. We've done a deep dive on Kita. If you're interested, look on our channel. I also live streamed their live stress test where they hit, I believe it was 12 million transactions per second. If their mainnet goes live and this checks out, I mean, they did the live, but I want to see it on the live mainnet. It's going to be huge. That is blazingly fast. I believe faster than anything out there right now. Plus, Kita is built on Base. Base is being built out for DeFi and RWAs. If you look at everything being built out on Base and how Coinbase is using Base, the writing's on the wall. Aerodrome is half the volume that happens on Base. Coinbase is onboarding Aerodrome and DeFi natively on the Coinbase app and on the Coinbase platform. You're not going to have to use wallets soon. That barrier to entry to the normies out there that don't know how to use wallets will be a thing of the past. You can get into liquidity pools. You can take Bitcoin loans. The borrow and lending and all these stuff that we're always talking about. You'll be able to do it directly on Coinbase. I cannot stress how much liquidity is going to be onboarded once people figure this out. It would be a couple of clicks and you can be in a pool. a couple of clicks, and you can get a low interest loan, on your assets. It's going to blow your mind what's happening. But Kita is built on Base. Everything that is going to be part of this future of finance, I personally think is going to be on Base. My personal opinion, controversial take, but let me see if I can blaze through this. Through the bridge platform, through its bridge platform, Stripe has partnered with Visa to launch a new product, stablecoin linked Visa cards. So if this comes to pass, basically you could be doing DeFi and be earning 5, 10, 15% on your stable coins. So, like I know that's what I'm doing. As the markets pump in this bull run, I'm going to be laddering out, using those free spreadsheets. I have a ladder out strategy that I built out and into stable coins. But I'm going to be putting those into DeFi plays to where I can earn 5, 10, 15% or more. So I'm continually earning and building dry powder. But if I can have a Visa card that I can use that liquidity if I want to take a trip or if I want to pay for gas or whatever, because I'm going to use it to augment and better my life. But if you have a card to where you can access that without getting into an app or a cold storage wallet and all these cumbersome things, if I can just have an account that I keep, that I can move whatever money I want to have accessible with my card, and I can just move it there so that there's that gap so that if I lose my card, somebody doesn't have access to everything, then that's going to be massive. I mean, it's basically like having a debit card for an account that I have my stables in. So again, super super bullish on that. But yeah, it lets users spend stable coins like USDC, USDP at over 150 million Visa accepting merchants. So anywhere a Visa card is accepted, you'll be able to spend your crypto. If anyone out there is thinking of getting into crypto, and DeFi, and you think that this is a passing fad, you are missing out. Please do your own research. But crypto is here to stay, and DeFi and TradFi is just going to be finance. It's not going to be DeFi and TradFi. They are becoming one. So I mean, it looks like. So where can Kita play a role? Let's dip into this, and then we'll move on. Kita operates on the account-to-account settlement layer, which is more comparable to Visa Direct than to card networks like Visa Debit. These serve in entirely different parts of the stack. This means there's still a clear role for Kita to handle the programmable, compliant money movement beneath the surface, while card networks handle the point of sale interface. So basically, Kita is one, it's fast, and two, it has natively on Kita, it has KYC and and compliance built in, just like we talked about with Plume. So this is potentially a way that Kita could be leveraged. Are there other things that could be leveraged? I hold Kita, and I hold a very large bag of Kita, and I'm earning with it. But again, integrity. Is there other projects that could do this? Absolutely. Do I think Kita is one that could be, on the short list? Absolutely. If they can prove the speed and they can show that they can do everything that they're talking about, go live with their mainnet. Absolutely. I see that they could be a front runner. So we'll move on. Let me check the chat, see if anybody. Yeah, no, that would be huge, Jeff. Faux 20? What are we talking about here? 420 what? I like that number better, Jay. Yes, that is a good number. ape in. Kyle Watts just fucking FOMO in. 500. All right, that's what I'm hearing so far. Jay got a good idea. 420.69. That's always good. Falco, what up, brother? A little at a time and then all at once. That's what she said. I never heard of Mamo. Maybe I should talk about Mamo a little bit. It's an AI play. It's a DeFi AI play, but I'll pull it up here in a second. Yes, please hit that like and subscribe. All right, let's pull up Mamo before I ape into this bitch. All right. Holler at me if the markets start doing anything crazy. I don't want to miss out on anything. All right, so this is Mamo. Mamo is fucking pumping. Look at this shit. Shit. Wish I would have caught it down here 55 cents. All right, but we still haven't reached all-time highs. There's still some room. Looks like it almost got up to $1. All right, so let's go down and see. Actually, you know what? Let's just go to the website. All right, smart with money, easy on the nerves. So, in a nutshell, I know a little bit about Mamo. So, what Mamo is it's an AI DeFi. So, what it does is it automates your liquidity when you enter it into a pool. It's going to optimize. What it kind of like Beefy. You put your liquidity in, and then it's auto compounding, it's auto rebalancing. Everything is automated. So it's basically just set it and forget it. So that's basically what Mamo is. So like it says here, create a Mamo account, deposit funds, watch your money grow. USD or USDC, you can earn 7%, just automated money. Bitcoin, nothing to get too excited about, just shy of 1%. Powered by Base, Moonwell, and Virtuals Protocol. Again, Base. It's all about that base. Small deposits, big direction. Always earn the best rates. Simple to set up. Talk to Mamo anytime, your personal virtual financial companion. Again, AI. You don't need to have a broker anymore. Buy builders from X, Lyft, Coinbase, Amazon, and Apple. Liking the team. Brian Armstrong, the CEO of Coinbase. Mamo agent, I signed up and tried it out. Pretty smooth onboarding. We need to keep making Coinbase pay smoother. All right, all right. You know what? $500 it is. Fuck it. All right. So let's, as you can see, oh shit! It moved my shit. All right, we got to redo this. What was my ranges again? It was 1.09 to 2.85. All right, 1.29. There we go. And what was it? 2.85? Close enough. All right, so let's shift this up. You know what? Let's do 600. You know what? All right, so 1.29 to 2.87. So 1.09 to 2.85. 1.09. Oh, got to bump this down. All right. So here we go. 100%. We got 600 bucks. I'm going to set my slippage. Those that don't know, slippage is what you'll allow the price to move while you're entering the position. So if the price moves more than this percent, it will reject it because you can lose. Like if I'm putting 600 bucks in and it slips more than, like I say, if I have like 1, 2, 3%, it's going to allow the price to move that much to where potentially I can lose money entering the position. I always go with 0.25. If the market is super volatile, you might have to bump it up though. So just keep that in mind. But everything looks good. I'm going to deposit. And this is the beauty of VFAT. You don't have to do a bunch of complex math. And look at that. On base is like 0.0004 cents. I mean, it's just fucking base is where it's at. Network fee of 2 cents. It's, come on. There's no reason to be on the Ethereum mainnet. Transaction successful. I'm in Mammo now. You hear me, Drew? I'm in Mammo. All right. So let's go over here. Make sure that it pops up. Give it a little refresh. And there it is. Mammo Coinbase wrapped Bitcoin. Got a 98% freaking spread, making 110%. So, like I said, not going to get rich on it, but if this thing just stays in range, I'll just be tick, tick, ticking. Just like this arrow. This thing has been making me a steady 34%. It's only making $2 a day, but it fluctuates. Sometimes it's making 50%, sometimes it's making 30%. But actually, you know what? I'll show you on my spreadsheet. So I started those arrow pools right here. The two full range arrow pools. One's on VFAT, one's on Arrow. I started with 2,170, and I haven't compounded everything that I've earned back into it. I've put it in some other things. But even that being said, in the past 6 months, I've made almost exactly $1,000. I've made more than 1,000, but I put $1,000 back into it. VFAT, this one, same thing. I've earned almost $1,000. And again, not all of it have I compounded back in. So I'm growing my arrow bag because this is a USDC arrow pool. I am simply growing my arrow bags by hodling arrow. So I'm earning yield 24/7, 365 this is that foundation again. I'm going to beat it into everyone's head. The foundation. Look at my positions. I'm out of this wrapped ETH one, but my plume. This is a full range plume position. I do have two ranged plume positions because it earns so well and it ranges so well. Arrow, both full range positions. All my beefy positions are they auto compound and auto rebalance. Always earning. I'm not getting rich on them, but I'm always stacking. That's what's important. My arrow locks. Those of you that have locks know what I'm talking about. I started my arrow locks 7 months ago, back in October, 7, 8 months ago, whatever it is, with $2,500 in arrow. I now have, at current value, $8,500. Not a bad rate of return for just magic money. And of course, if arrow goes back up to $2.20, that's like what, a 3x or more from here. That's going to be 21. Wait, hold on. Carry the two. $24,000. Yeah. So if arrow, actually here, we'll just go over here, and this again, I can't stress this is why you need to track, as I'm tracking my earnings from my Arrow locks. So if the price of Arrow, this is all, formulas. If it goes to $2.20, my Arrow bags from 2,500 bucks, or from 2,500 bucks, it is $22,631. That is, I put in because it was 50 cents at the time. Arrow was. I put in 5,100 tokens. I got the flight school bonus. Again, go through the DeFi Academy, the Aerodrome episode. I detail everything about the flight school. But simply by putting $2,500 worth of Arrow in, if Arrow just goes back to its local all-time highs, $2.20, I'm going to have $22,631 off of $2,500 of just easy money. I didn't have to trade. I didn't take any risk. The only risk is if the Aerodrome platform goes out of business or if Aerodrome goes to zero. Literally my only risks. Oh, and like a smart contract, or if my wallet gets hacked. The only risks. It's a no-brainer. It boggles my mind that people beat their head against the wall, hodling their bags, waiting for prices to pump, or using way too much of their portfolio to learn trading. By all means, learn trading. It is a skill that you should have if you're in investing. But paper trade. Don't use your actual money. There's platforms you can go on that basically will give you like $10,000 or $100,000 of imaginary money and let you live trade the markets. And you can watch Kelly Kellum over on BitLab Academy. You can get with Drew and get with Josh in the Discord and learn from them. Simulate. It's basically a simulator, real time. Watch them in the Discord. Enter, where they enter, exit where they exit, put stop losses where they put stop losses, but with fake money. And once you build up your skills and you feel like, okay, I think I'm starting to get this, use a couple $100. Use a little bit of money and test the waters. Don't just jump into trading. It's far too complex. Reading charts, and there's people that are way smarter than us that have a lot more resources and armies of people and massive amounts of liquidity to manipulate the market to where they're going to outtrade you. You need to, and that's why you need to be a part of a community like this. So join the Discord, follow the brother channels, Discover Crypto, Blockchain Basement, BitLab Academy. Watch us here for airdrops and DeFi. Jump in the chat. Is there any other pools I should be getting into right now? Oh, Food for Life, an ENA wrapped ETH. Where are you finding that? I'll look at it. ENA wrapped ETH. Let me see if I can find it on VFAT. Let's see. Check pools. ENA. And if you want to learn about VFAT, I know I sound like a broken record, but I did a whole episode on it in the DeFi Academy. See you there. ENA wrapped ETH on Uniswap and on PancakeSwap. So it looks like ENA wrapped ETH on Uniswap. We got 2.4 million in TVL, 22,846 in fees. And it's on ETH Mainnet. I don't know. I want to be on base. I want to be on base or plume right now. That's what I'm feeling. Because if we start pumping again, and those fees jack up, I don't want to be stuck in a position because I don't want to pay $20 or $30 fees to get out. like I said, I'm actually thinking about getting out of my plume. Actually, let's look real quick. Let's look at getting out of my current plume positions on ETH mainnet. At least one of them. Maybe my ranged one. Let's look at the market. Where are we at? All right. What is Plume doing right now? Because the top end of my range is at 15 cents. What should I do? All right, let's take a look. We're going to leave. We'll leave the full range pool because the full range I'm not going to need to rebalance or take fees as often and have to utilize ETH mainnet. So let's look and see how much it's going to cost me to collect this. So remove liquidity. Let's look at taking out the max. All right, so $4, $3.91. Let's see if I got the gas. You know what? Let's do it. All right. So it's taking it out. I'm going to be moving this over to Plume mainnet. We'll do it live, and then we'll cut off this stream. I've been live for almost 2 hours. All right, so we're out. Okay, so let's now go over to the Plume portal, and let's bridge. So we got the wrapped ETH, we got the USDC that's on ETH, and the Plume that's on ETH. So let's look at moving the Plume that's on ETH first. 66 cents a gas. Love it. Love it. All right. So let's freaking do that real quick. Thinking about it. Thinking about it. All right. We're done there. Let's take a look at USDC on Ethereum. And I'm going to need some PUSD because to enter this pool. So let's max that as well. So that would just what that's going to do is save me a swap later. So if I would have put that into the Plume as well, then I would have had to have swapped so that I had some PUSD and some Plume to enter the pool that I want to enter. And all of this that I'm doing right now, all this bridging and all this swapping is actually earning me points for the Plume airdrop. So I got to catch up. Some of the people in the Discord, in the community, they're like, they lapped me when it comes to Plume points, and I can't have that. I'm kind of competitive like that. So I'm coming for you. I know that Jeff, you're one of them. I'm coming for you, brother. All right. So it's thinking about it. Thinking about it. Damn Ethereum. All right, cool. And we're done there. And we'll leave that wrap ETH. All righty. So now let's go over here to ambient. And you can see, here's my pool. But let's explore. Let's see what else is out there. So we have these three pools that look interesting, but the only one that has some decent volume is this plume wrapped ETH. Let me go to my account. So I'm in the plume PUSD. And I believe that this is over on, where is that at? Tempest. I believe it's on Tempest that I got into this one. And you can see this is one of the cool things about this platform is it shows you where you got in. So you can see that I sold some plume here to and then put some plume in here. So you can see where I added liquidity basically to this pool. So it basically charts it all out, so you can look historically, and then you can see the volumes here. This volume profile, which is really nice. So let me see. All right, tell me, chat. Should I just add to this existing pool that I have that's earning really well? Because you can see I harvested this earlier, and I've already earned $1. So what? In 2 hours, I earned $1. So earning about $12 a day currently, 248%. Let's see. I could do a single-sided asset. I like that. I like that. Might have to think about this one. Mountain magnets, yes. Yep. VFAT is where it's at. But yeah, I'll throw that up. It's a good comment. I'm so grateful I dived into VFAT. I've earned quite a bit just in a month. Much better than just Arrow. Yeah. I really hope Aerodrome and Uniswap and some other dexes really take a lesson from some of these DeFi aggregators. Don't forget, Jeff, Mike got connections in Plume. He can spin that wheel twice a day. It's true. It's true. I am spinning that wheel twice a day, Jeff. Yeah, Jay, I believe you're in that same pool with me. So it really is a great earner. What to do, what to do. All right, I might have to think about this one. Because that's a decent size of some of my plume bags. So anyway, I'm gonna cut this off. I got to get going, but I appreciate y'all for tuning in. All of you out there on X, and all the different YouTube channels. I really appreciate you tuning in, and I really do appreciate all the questions. That's why we're all here. We're all here to earn money, and we're all here to earn. So again, thank you, and until next time, Veteran Crypto.